He was poisoned, he was shot, he was beaten, he was thrown into a freezing river. And yet, he wouldn't die. This is the chilling tale of Grigori Rasputin, Russia's most infamous mystic. Feared, worshipped, hated, and ultimately assassinated in a plot as bizarre as his life. In this video, we uncover the truth behind Rasputin's dark legend, his mysterious powers, and how his death only made him more powerful in history's eyes. Was he a holy healer, a manipulative sorcerer, or something far stranger? Grigori Yefimovich Rasputin was born in 1869 in Pokrovskoye, a small village in Siberia. He had no formal education and was illiterate well into adulthood. Yet even as a young man, Rasputin exhibited strange behavior, visions, trances, and a powerful charisma that drew others to him. In his 20s, he embarked on a pilgrimage across Russia. By the time he reached St. Petersburg, he had become known as a holy man, a starets, blending Orthodox Christian mysticism with his own strange brand of spiritual philosophy. He claimed to have divine healing powers. And for some, he did. This caught the attention of the Russian aristocracy, especially when whispers spread that this wild-eyed mystic from Siberia could cure what doctors could not. In 1905, Rasputin was introduced to Tsar Nicholas II and his wife, Tsarina Alexandra. Their only son, Alexei, was the heir to the Russian throne, and a hemophiliac. One cut could kill him. No doctor could offer hope. But Rasputin could. Time and again, Rasputin appeared to ease the boy's suffering. Some say it was hypnosis. Others point to spiritual healing or mere coincidence. But Alexandra was convinced. Rasputin was sent by God to protect her son. From then on, Rasputin held incredible influence over the royal family. The Tsarina trusted him more than her own ministers. In the court of Imperial Russia, this was scandalous. Here was a peasant with greasy hair, piercing eyes, and wild behavior, whispering advice to the empress and attending private audiences with the Tsar. And that made him dangerous. As Rasputin's influence grew, so did the rumors. Stories spread of drunken orgies, political corruption, and heresy. He was said to seduce noblewomen, manipulate officials, and mock the church behind closed doors. Even the nobility who once welcomed him began to fear him. Rasputin claimed that in order to repent, one must first sin. He was often seen staggering drunk through the streets of St. Petersburg, surrounded by admirers and enemies. He had survived multiple assassination attempts, including being stabbed by a crazed former prostitute. Yet he lived. The people began to whisper that Rasputin was unkillable. Some said he was protected by dark magic, others believed he was the Antichrist. Either way, the mystic's reputation became legend. And when World War I broke out, the hatred toward him reached its peak. By 1916, Russia was collapsing. The war effort was a disaster. The people starved. The Tsar was blamed. But in the eyes of many Russians, the true poison of the empire wasn't at the front lines, it was in the palace, whispering in the ear of the empress. Rasputin. Conspiracy theories flourished. Some believed he was a German agent. Others thought he had bewitched the Tsarina. Ministers, generals, and nobles all agreed, he had to die. A group of aristocrats, led by Prince Felix Yusupov and Grand Duke Dmitry Pavlovich, devised a plan. They would rid Russia of Rasputin. But Rasputin would not go quietly. On the night of December 29, 1916, Rasputin was invited to Yusupov's palace. They offered him cakes and wine, laced with cyanide. A dose strong enough to kill a dozen men. But Rasputin kept eating, kept drinking. Hours passed. He didn't even seem ill. Panicking, Yusupov retrieved a revolver and shot Rasputin in the chest. Rasputin collapsed. The nobles breathed a sigh of relief. But when Yusupov returned minutes later, Rasputin leapt up, eyes blazing, and lunged at him. Terrified, they shot him again. And again. Bleeding, he fled into the snowy courtyard, gasping and crawling away. Finally, they caught him. Beat him with clubs. Tied him up. And threw him into the icy Neva River. When his body was recovered, his arms were reportedly raised, suggesting he had still been alive when he hit the water. The man who wouldn't die was finally dead. Or was he? Rasputin's murder was meant to save the monarchy. But instead, it accelerated its fall. Just months later, the Russian Revolution exploded. The royal family was imprisoned. The Tsar and his entire family were executed. And yet Rasputin's myth only grew stronger. His prophecies, real or imagined, seemed to come true. He had warned the Tsar, "If I am killed by commoners, you and your children will live. But if I am killed by nobles, you will all die within 2 years." He was murdered by nobles. And less than 2 years later, the Romanovs were dead. Coincidence? Or a final curse from the mystic? To this day, historians debate who Rasputin really was. Was he a con man? A political manipulator? A faith healer? Or a misunderstood holy man with real gifts? His death remains one of the most bizarre and dramatic assassinations in history. His influence over the royal family helped erode public trust in the monarchy. And his image, wild eyes, long beard, dark stare, became the symbol of a corrupt empire's downfall. Rasputin has inspired books, films, operas, and even pop songs. Because his story touches on something deeper. The fear of the unknown. The allure of power. And the haunting idea that some people just don't die easily. Even in death, Rasputin's legend refused to fade. Rasputin's body was buried, dug up, burned, and scattered. But his story, it still burns bright in the shadowy corners of history. He was more than just a man, he was a mystery, a myth, a warning. And perhaps, the last true sorcerer of modern times.